Hey, Hannah.
Isn't convincing enough. Try again.
Hold on. Will you do me? Do you do another one?
Hi, Brandon.
Hi, Hannah.
Ugh. Ugh. Fucking worst.
Does it work with a question mark at the end?
No. Not everything is good with a question mark at the end, Brandon.
What's
Welcome
up,
to
guys?
GhostWritten,
Welcome to GhostWritten.
podcast where Brandon gives me shit.
It's the podcast where we sometimes post episodes, and we sometimes talk about spooky things.
Had a lot going on, guys.
Yeah.
Brandon's all broken.
Yeah. Well,
I was broken. Like, we're just a fucking mess.
I want to get that out of the way from the top. I had my wisdom teeth removed. It's been almost 2 weeks, and I'm not doing so hot, y'all.
Which you claim you told me about, but I'm not convinced. I don't remember you telling me you're getting your wisdom teeth removed, and then you're like, my mouth hurts, and I was like, what's your fucking problem? You're like, I had my wisdom teeth removed. Don't you remember? Basically called me a bitch for not remembering.
No, I'm pretty sure I told you that day that we went and had brunch.
I don't think so.
Well, anyway,
I'm too distracted sitting by my husband.
Yeah, that's what it was. It's the heat of his masculinity was
just the heat of him in general. He's like a fucking heater. It's awful.
But yeah, so I'm dealing with that, guys, and if you notice, I'm a little off today. That's why. But we are excited to be recording this week. We've gotten a lot of new likes on Facebook, so welcome.
Where are you people coming from? Every time I get on there, it's like, so-and-so liked your podcast. I'm like, who are you? Where did you come from?
Yeah, and it's not an insignificant amount. So
no, it's very strange.
While we are curious where you're coming from, also welcome.
I'm not gonna question it too much, I guess.
Yeah, I assume if you're liking our page on Facebook that you enjoy the podcast. So
you're
thanks.
Just there for the sweet memes.
Yeah, there is that. So thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out. What have you been up to this week, Hannah?
Listening to cozy murder mysteries because I'm a 40-year-old woman.
How are murder mysteries cozy?
You know, Tyler gives me that face every time I'm like, I'm listening to this cozy murder mystery. They just are, Brandon. They just are. It's like there's a whole fucking genre out there.
They're familiar, yeah.
Cozy murder mysteries. They're not complicated. They're not super violent. They're just somebody's dead. We'll find out who did it eventually.
And they catch them. That's the important part?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have some fun along the way. Been watching a lot of Westworld. We're almost done with season 2.
Ooh, I want to check that out. I've never seen it.
I got Tyler started watching Ghosts too, the BBC version.
Oh.
It's on HBO.
I keep seeing advertisements for that.
Oh, it's so good. I don't know how I feel about the American version. My in-laws were like, we started watching Ghosts and we can't find out. It's like, it's on HBO. And they're like, not the British version. I was like,
Not the original.
Right. It's so good though. And it's freaking hilarious. So.
I finally watched the new Scream movie.
I think it's on HBO or something too. And we need to watch it. Is it
Paramount Plus.
Yep, we got that too.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
We're gonna have to watch it. There's just something about Scream, like it's very classic slasher, and
yeah, it felt very nostalgic too, because they were very clearly like hearkening back to like the old formula, but they did it in a really smart kind of meta way where they're basically telling the story of the new movie inside the movie, like
that's fine. That sounds great. Yeah. Did you ever watch Happy Death Day?
Yeah, I really liked that.
It was really good.
I haven't seen
it's another like classic slasher kind of thing.
Yeah.
But making fun of itself and
with a super interesting concept, like Groundhog Day, but Murder.
Murder and terrifying masks.
Let me try to hold on. I'm gonna try to move this curtain a little bit because like it's like right in my face, and I feel like I look like
We can see your blue light filter glasses.
yeah. My old woman glasses.
Yeah, whatever.
Listen,
Listen.
I work with computers, guys. I gotta have a
Ooh,
little bit
before
of
we got on, I was working on my cord management. You'd be very proud. I
Ooh.
got these cord things that are little strawberries. I'm an adult.
I've never before seen that in my life. That's cute.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Brandon would be so proud, Mr. IT Pants.
Yeah.
Which is what I called Brandon whenever I text him and I heard something IT related.
Hey,
I'm
Mr.
like,
IT Pants.
Hey, Mr. IT Pants. I need help.
I lost the train of thought. I'm sorry. I literally was about to say something. Oh, yeah. For those of you that are watching, you'll notice the scene's a little different. Bradley's computer and stuff is in here as well because we rearranged the apartment a little bit. So new angle, and my cable management situation is terrible. That's where I was getting to. It's really bad.
What did you need to work on that? I'm gonna let you get better first, and then I'll start judging you on your cable management.
Thanks.
Just because you work in IT, though, because I'm a trash human and my cable management is awful. If you saw my desk at work, you would probably throw up. IT regularly walks past and goes, Hannah, what's that? I'm like, don't worry about it. You didn't set it up. You want to come over here and hang out with me and set it up?
That's the point.
Then you can come.
Oh Lord. Well, let's get into it, y'all. I don't have a clever segue today. I'm just fighting the pain. So that's what you get. Today we are talking about Lake Lanier in Georgia.
Georgia.
Familiar. Have you seen Ozark at all?
No, I need to.
So a lot of the scenes in Ozark that are supposed to that are supposed to take place on the lake there are actually filmed in Lake Lanier, because every show ever is filmed in Georgia now. So
at the end it goes, Georgia.
Yeah, with the little beach.
And then they're racist about things that everybody threatens to pull out of the state. That happened. Go on.
What?
Do you not remember that?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I missed part of what you said. And
they're racist about things.
Yeah.
And companies threaten to pull out of the state.
So
hi, Georgia.
You confused me because that's also a person's name. So I was like, are you talking to someone? Hey, Georgia.
My bookshelf's name.
Okay.
Go on.
Oh, it hurts to laugh. Okay. So
I chose the wrong thing to do today. Then
I'm going to be reading about or reading from an article from CNN.com about Lake Lanier and some of the spooky history behind it.
Spooky history.
Legend has it that the ghost of a long dead woman roams this lake in a flowing blue dress. Mysterious arms reach out for swimmers from the watery depths. Angry spirits call people home to submerged graves. These and other spooky tales have haunted Lake Lanier in the foothills of the northern Georgia mountains for decades. To many Georgians, the large serpentine lake northeast of Atlanta is a recreational hotspot, popular for boating and water sports. But supernatural lore and urban legends about the lake have found a receptive audience on social media, where they've found legions of believers.
I remembered Lake Lanier. They're talking about it on Morbid the other day.
Oh yeah, for murder?
Kind of. Sometimes they break into the supernatural side of things.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like a palate cleanser kind of thing with them.
This might have been something that they mentioned. more hold on, I'll get to that part. The lake was created, man-made, in the 1950s by flooding valley communities that contained a cemetery, fueling beliefs that it's cursed. Historians say some unmarked graves and other structures were swallowed by its waters.
Mm.
Isn't that creepy? The idea that
Yes.
like you're on this lake and beneath you are like houses and graveyards and
Yes.
yeah.
Terrifying.
More than 200 people have died in swimming and boating accidents on the lake since 1994, adding to its dark history. The stories about mysterious underwater sightings are eerie, especially at Halloween. But the true backstory of Lake Lanier, built over an underwater ghost town, is just as interesting.
Water's terrifying.
The controversy surrounding Lake Lanier started long before its construction. Before the land was buried in water, it was lush and fertile, with rabbits and squirrels scampering around. Communities thrived with fancy names like Castleberry Bottom. Then came the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, which wanted to create a lake to provide Atlanta and surrounding counties with power and water. The government offered locals money for their farmland. Most of it had been in families for generations, making it almost impossible to put a price tag on. This is an excerpt from a book about the forming of the lake. At first, the government assured landowners that they were being paid for the true value of the land and the buildings, but residents found it hard to price generations of memories, hard work, and deep roots. A host of emotions accompanied the talk of relocation: anger, resentment, fear, anxiety, bewilderment, and apprehension. To them, their land was priceless. Eventually, some 700 families sold a total of 56,000 acres to the government, which built a dam on the Chattahoochee River to form the lake.
Go on, sorry.
Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Right?
I
90s
believe
country music.
I can't believe I was like an 8-year-old singing "It Gets Hotter Than a Hoochie's Coochie."
Right?
And my mom thought that was okay.
Yeah. See, they talk about the music these days, but like 90s country was
just as bad.
Scandalous.
The Dixie Chicks literally sang about murdering someone.
They sure did.
Come on. As their land filled with water in 1956, locals jammed roads and bridges to watch as history vanished before their eyes. Whatever they had abandoned was covered by the rising waters. Hold on. I had like a lot of mucus going on. Don't know what that was. Even the lake's naming was contentious. Some local officials wanted to name it after Georgia politicians. Others sought to name it after a legendary football coach. Eventually, they decided to name it after Sidney Lanier, an 18th century Georgia poet who wrote Song of the Chattahoochee.
Appropriate. Of course, somebody in the South wanted to name something after a football coach.
Right?
Jesus. Okay.
Well, that's like the Parkway in where, the part of Kentucky where I grew up. It goes through the Daniel Boone National Forest. So forever it was called the Daniel Boone Parkway.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, they changed it to Hal Rogers Parkway. Like, okay. Who the fuck? Who cares? I think he was something like a government person. I don't know.
They should have just left it Daniel Boone. Who the fuck doesn't know who Daniel Boone is?
Exactly. Anyway.
Also, Daniel Boone National Park, like, it just makes sense.
Right? It's going through the forest, so it just makes sense.
We have a whole parkway called the Mountain Parkway. Like,
right. Some families later regretted their decision once they realized they couldn't survive on what the government offered. But the lake brought multiple benefits, including food protection from the Chattahoochee, flood protection from the Chattahoochee, which flows west of them. Today, Lake Lanier has about 625 billion gallons of water. the equivalent of 950,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And they yield mysterious stories.
Ooh. Ew.
To prepare the land to be filled with water, the Army Corps of Engineers demolished or moved anything they considered dangerous. They uprooted trees and hauled them away. Barns and wooden structures that could float and endanger watercraft were moved. Major infrastructure such as bridges and water intakes were relocated. But the community had a cemetery. While the Corps identified and moved marked graves, it's likely that some unmarked ones were inadvertently left behind. The technological capability to identify and verify unmarked burial sites through subsurface scanning or other means was far less robust 70 years ago. While the Corps made every effort at the time to locate unmarked burials, the limited capabilities of the time make it probable that unanticipated finds of human remains are possible, whether from the antebellum and Civil War periods or of Native American origin from pre-colonial and ancient times.
Yeah. Shit's not marked.
That last line, from ancient times, like, come on now. What are y'all fucking with? This is how you get Lake Wendigo, you know? Like,
do you want mermaids? This is how you get mermaids.
Do you want sea witches? Because yes. Also, this is how sirens are born. An old auto racing track near Gainesville was also left behind. It remains at the lake bottom, although the Corps removed its bleachers so they wouldn't float to the surface and cause a hazard for boats.
Good idea.
The concrete block foundations of some small buildings are also submerged. Some people have claimed to hear church bells from a sunken church. But this particular guy,
church bells underwater.
This particular guy here, who is being quoted a bunch. What's his name? Let me find his name real quick. Caesar Yabor, he's a spokesperson of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, says that that's not possible. No such structure was known to be left behind due to the height issue, if it had a steeple as well as the floating wood issue. Over the decades, when the lake's water levels dropped during drought, submerged roads, tire parts, and other artifacts have been exposed. That spokesperson also believes unmarked graves were left behind because they were not easily identified and there was no family to claim them. The changes wrought by the human-made lake are scarier than the spooky folklore. I don't know if I agree with that. The haunting is sometimes defined as something that is difficult to ignore or forget, something that is poignant and evocative. The real haunting in this story is how history has made it impossible to ignore what was done to the land in North Georgia. Once a land of wild rivers, North Georgia is now broken with dams and human-made bodies of water that change the ecosystem. Once a land that belonged to indigenous people, it is now buried under the water, making recovering of lost culture impossible. Now, there is one particular supernatural phenomenon about Lake Lanier, and that is sightings of the Lady of the Lake. And this ain't King Arthur.
She just love lakes. Distributing swords as a form of government.
Simpler times. Over the years, divers have reported creepy sightings beneath the murky waters. Some tell stories of freaky catfish as big as a Volkswagen. And apparently, which I'm can't wait to dig into this new obsession, YouTube is filled with videos of divers showing the sunken houseboats and piles of debris and such beneath the
Ooh,
water.
I want to watch it, but it's so scary.
Between 1994 and October of this year, 203 people have died in drownings and boating accidents at Lake Lanier, according to blah 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 blah. In 2017,
According to those one bitches.
In 2017, longtime diver Buck Buchanan.
Oh yes, yes.
Told local media that he sometimes felt body parts in the lake during his many excursions. Quote, "You reach out into the dark and you feel an arm or a leg and it doesn't move."
Listen, Buck.
There's a lot you could have said about these dives.
Listen, I feel like I need to have a kid and name it Buck Buchanan.
Buck Buchanan. Yeah, they call me
Buchanan's his middle name.
They call me Bucky Buck.
We just call him Buck.
Buck Buke.
God.
But apparently, what Buck has told people has not affected the lake's popularity, with about 12 million visitors last year. When was this written? Who cares? Lake Lanier was one of the most visited core-built lakes in the nation. Lake Lanier's size and popularity contribute to the tall tales, and its high visitation rate also means more fatalities. This is back to the Yabor guy. While we recognize that urban legends can develop over time, first and foremost is our concern for public safety. So we certainly do not want to create an inviting atmosphere for the curious to come out to Lake Lanier for urban legend exploration or similar risky acts. Well, you sound like a fucking nerd.
Brandon's real spicy today, guys.
Listen, it's the pain. I finally understand why Doc Ock is so savage, you know.
Shit.
One of Lake Lanier's most popular urban legends involves a car wreck. According to the story, a Ford sedan carrying two women careened off a bridge in April 1958 and tumbled into the lake. Some say the ghost of one of the women, dubbed Lady of the Lake, wanders the bridge at night in a blue dress, lost and restless.
So what if I remember correctly from what Morford was talking about, like one of the things with this lake is it's really murky, like there's something about that it's super murky. And there's also another man-made lake not terribly far away, and this one is only slightly popular than that other man-made lake, and the death rate is way higher
because of
comparatively.
Yeah.
Because of this and just, people. It apparently has lots of little like coves. They're a little more secret. So I think people have dumped some bodies and shit.
I mean, it's very possible. The one thing I want to go more in depth about though is the Lady of the Lake. So this other article from styleblueprint.com tells a little bit more in depth. In 1958, Delia Mae Parker Young and her best friend Susie Roberts were driving to a local roadhouse in Dawsonville. As they were right? Sorry. Oh, that's weird. What? The movie that was on at work today was Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. Weird. As they were crossing the Lake Lanier Bridge, Susie lost control of the car and ran off the bridge. The women and the car disappeared at the bottom of the lake. It was 31 years before Susie and her car were found. A fisherman found the remains of a body about a year later. It was missing both hands and two toes, and they couldn't identify it as either Susie or Delia. Susie had been wearing a blue dress the night of the accident, and since the crash, multiple people have reported seeing a lost woman in a blue dress pacing around the area, and she's missing her hands. Multiple
Well, that's
people.
inconvenient.
Well, you're already a spirit, so yeah.
Keep your hands at least. Damn.
Multiple people have seen a shadow figure sitting on a raft with a pole. Oh, okay. Sorry. I could not figure out the grammar of this statement. It says multiple people have seen a figure sitting on a raft with a pole to inch himself forward, back, side to side, despite the lake's extremely various floor depths and a lantern to see. So they're saying that he's using the pole to move himself around, even though
Sounds
the
like
water
somebody didn't use their Oxford commas correctly.
right, even though the water is apparently too deep to do that. There are also reports of creepy sounds emerging from beneath the waters. Now, listen. The fear of deep water is called thalassophobia. Okay.
That's me.
That's me too. And the idea of like hearing stuff coming from the water, I'm out.
No, I'm good.
I'm out.
It's like that sound that they captured under the ocean. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Ooh.
What do they call it?
Sound?
It's called the blip, I think is what they call
I think
it.
so, yeah.
Because
It's fucking weird and I don't like it.
It was so loud that they detected it with like Navy microphones in Hawaii, even though the origin was like thousands and thousands of miles away.
Mm-mm. It's the old gods, buddy.
Oh yeah, Cthulhu is waking up. Okay.
That's just him rolling over a little bit.
He farted in his sleep.
I was about to say. And beans.
But yeah, that's what I have for you about Lake Lanier.
Brandon laughs in pain.
Yeah,
regretting his decision to record tonight.
Well, no, I tell you what, being in the routine of doing the podcast and like talking about stuff that's interesting does kind of take my mind off of it. So
with my lovely face.
Yes, and your beautiful face.
I mean, if you ever need it, I'll just come look in your windows. Just let me know.
Yeah, also just make sounds.
Okay. Underwater sounds.
Yeah, outside the window going. Ooh.
I make air horn sounds at Tyler all the time, or like foghorn sounds. Ooh.
Oh, you're a special person. I appreciate it.
I get really slap happy and I start cackling, screaming, I'm a foghorn. This is what I do in the privacy of my home. Don't judge.
I'm sorry for the state of myself this week, guys. But hopefully I will be better by next time. Would you like to do the honors?
Oh, yeah, sure. If you want to contact us or send us your spooky sounds and stories. Send us some spooky sounds for me to play outside Brandon's apartment.
Don't do that.
Or your stories. You can send them to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GhostWritten Pod. We have a email address. These days.
That thing.
GhostWrittenPodcast@gmail.com. Send us your stuff. We also have a Patreon if you want to see our beautiful faces while we record and get some bonus content as well. Patreon.com/GhostWritten. We're real cheap.
And we have
support the podcast.
Yeah, we have some extra stuff
pay for
on
our
there.
Hosting. Let's do it, Brandon.
Ooh.